Hello, friends. I want to talk a little bit more about how the 10 worlds become 3,000 realms. The 10 worlds were and still are hell, hunger, animality, anger, humanity, bliss, learning, realization, bodhisattva, Buddha. Now, there are 10 factors. We actually recite the 10 factors when we do our Buddhist chanting. They're at the end of the first section. But in English, they are appearance, nature, entity, power, influence, internal cause, relation, latent effect, manifest effect, and consistency from beginning to end. So the whole point of that would be that Allison, as a person, as a life, has an appearance, a nature. Allison has a nature, my entity, where my cells stop and it starts being the air. But also power, influence. Would you have more influence, for example, than I do? Would you have different sorts of influence than I do? Internal cause. Every thought is an internal cause, but my favorite internal cause is making a vow in your heart. A promise you don't break. That is for the best for all concerned. Not some crazy self-destructive promise, but a vow in your heart. Relation, I don't remember what that is. I don't know. SGI-USA.org. Look it up and remind me because I forget. Latent effect. Often what latent effects are the things that would be happening to you, but you don't happen to be alive. You're in between lives. You've died and you haven't been born yet. And there are all these latent effects lined up, stacked into your life, waiting to manifest in your new lifetime. Those would be called manifest effects. Some of those are quite surprising because you can't think of anything in this lifetime that would have earned you these horrible things that happened. But maybe past life. I don't know. It's interesting. So the last of the 10 factors that I didn't explain was consistency from beginning to end. So there might be a story of Allison, probably not, but hey, maybe, where we talk about where I was born and how, I grew up and my young adulthood and my later decades and whatever. And there would be a consistency from beginning to end about who I was, but I'm not really the same as I was when I was little Allison, and I'm not going to be the same person when I'm an old person. But that it all sort of makes sense as a whole. And those would be the factors of my life, the factors of your life. Now, back to the 10 worlds. All 10 worlds were said by a great thinker named Tiantai, who lived in China in the 6th century. He says the 10 worlds are mutually inclusive, which is a fancy way of saying that all 10 worlds exist inside of all 10 worlds. In other words, the sufferings of hell, the world of hell, the life state of hell, still the Buddha nature is there. It's there. And even someone suffering that hard can be angry about it, can learn how to improve the situation, and can help someone else, even though they're in the world of hell. All 10 worlds are in the world of hell, and all 10 worlds are in the world of Buddhahood. And if you're faster than me, you might be thinking already that a Buddha who firmly establishes this indestructible happiness as the life state of a Buddha does not actually escape the sufferings, the angers, the other aspects of being human. A Buddha has not relinquished their humanity. It's in there. It's in there. A bodhisattva who has a vow to help everyone become happy can still have that righteous indignation of the world of anger. How dare they treat these people this way? I think I visit there a lot. The 10 worlds exist inside of the 10 worlds. There's actually 100 worlds. It's just too overwhelming to explain that. So, at least first, so there's 100 worlds, and there's 10 factors, and those factors exist at every moment of life with all 100 worlds. We are up to 1,000 realms because the appearance and the nature of Allison when she is in the world of bodhisattva and angry about social injustice versus Allison's in the world of hell and she's angry about her aches and pains. Those are different appearances, different nature, different internal causes. So all of those factors of life that I mentioned are active in all 100 worlds. We are at 1,000. We're at 1,000 realms. Now, how do we get to 3,000 realms? Well, there are the 3 realms, actually. The 3 realms are, bear with me, life, Allison, the environment, whatever school she's in, whatever job she's doing, whatever place she's at, her family, her friends, her environment. I can't actually be separated from my environment. There's a principle that says the oneness of life and the environment. In other words, I don't really exist without all of the people that have been in my life and all the experiences that I had, and there were certainly people there. So I'm not really surgically separatable from my environment. That's just 2 of the 3. Are you counting? Life and the environment. The 3rd realm really is the mystic realm. They talk about the realm of the 5 factors being the 3rd realm. Now, the 5 factors are form, perception, conception, volition, and consciousness. And these really have to do with how all that other stuff, the other 1,000 realms, can bend and twist and behave differently. Perception, for example, and conception and volition. That has to do with how I perceive my environment, how I perceive my aches and pains, and how I then frame those in thought and deed. If I think it's a problem, I'm going to solve it. If I think it's an opportunity, I'm going to take it. If I think it's different perceptions. Volition means what am I moved to do? So those 5 components have to do with our consciousness. Am I conscious? Am I awake at the wheel? And am I framing things in the best possible light for my progress in enlightenment? So, life, my environment, your environment, and the form they take, the perception, the conception, the volition, and my consciousness, and how those things really are shape-shifting based on those 5 components. I call it really mystic because it's so difficult to have a conscious perception of your conscious perception. I mean, think of it. There's a quote in Buddhism that says, we cannot see our eyelashes, which are so close, or really the far reaches of the heavens, which are so far. There are limits to what we can do as humans, and the 3,000 realms helps me understand being human. The best example I can give you is this. We never say, should I stay or should I go? All respect due to the clash, but it's not a black and white issue, whatever it is. It's never black and white. There's really a cat here. It really has to do with 3,000 different ways to proceed, not two. And so it encourages me to do my best, just knowing that, just knowing those things. Good luck to you. Do your best.